The Kirby franchise is now over 22 years old, and there are 22 games starring the adorable pink puffball. I grew up with Kirby on the Game Boy, and really enjoyed the first couple of games, but as time went on, I feel like the core series became very lackluster and uninspired. With that said, there have been a couple of games that have changed up the entire formula of the gameplay by experimenting with Kirby in odd but interesting ways. It's the experimental games where Kirby really shines, and Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is definitely one of those games. Leave it to Nintendo to experiment with different art styles. They certainly know what they are doing, and Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is no exception. The vibrant clay-filled world is absolutely breathtaking. The game starts off with Kirby and Waddle Dee roaming around a clay-filled dreamland, when out of the blue, a portal opens in the sky and drains the land of its color, stopping everything in its tracks. Enter Align, a magical paintbrush who has the power to color the world and paint rainbow ropes that Kirby can roll on. The three of them set off on a journey to rid the land of evil and return Dreamland's colors back to normal. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is a Kirby game that doesn't suck. Literally. While most of the games in the series have you sucking up enemies to gain their powers while hopping and floating around platforms, Rainbow Curse relies on your artistic abilities to paint rainbow ropes and make your own platforms, minus the sucking. The mechanic is by no means original. In fact, the series has been here before with Kirby's Canvas Curse. With Canvas Curse being one of my favorite DS games, it didn't take long before Rainbow Curse's cutesy clay-filled world molded around my heartstrings and roped me in. Much like Canvas Curse, you paint with a stylus on the touchscreen to create platforms to guide Kirby around, but you only have a set amount of ink for creating lines with. The meter recharges over time, but you can also refill your meter back up instantly by finding a paint bottle. You can also tap on Kirby to get him to dash and attack enemies, or you can hold down on Kirby to transform him into a giant ball of destruction after collecting 100 stars. Although, you might want to be smart about when you use your stars, since there are tons of hidden areas that can only be accessed by the use of that power. There are 28 stages that span across 7 worlds, which took me about 6 hours to complete, but it could take you a lot longer if you're trying to 100% the game. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse starts off fairly easy, but ramps up in challenge quickly, which is great, since most Kirby games are a cakewalk. There are a handful of bosses throughout the game. The first 3 feel really unique, but then the game starts to reuse them towards the end of the game, which feels like a lack of creativity. The best part about Rainbow Curse is that each stage introduces a new idea that throws a wrench into how you complete it, giving each stage a unique feel and layout which keeps you on your toes. There are also a couple of stages that have Kirby transform into different vehicles, from a tank to a submarine and even a plane. Each vehicle has its own distinct feel and special abilities, but can sometimes feel a bit challenging to control properly. Nintendo also added a multiplayer mode, which lets up to 3 friends join and drop as Waddle Dees at any time. The problem with this is that other players have to rely on your drawing skills to guide them across some of the levels, which can get difficult when you only have so much ink to provide platforms with. There are tons of collectibles throughout the game. Each stage has 5 hidden treasure chests that unlock music, and clay statues that all come with their very own silly yet charming description. Completing stages also unlocks doors in the challenge room. Each door's challenge has to be completed in a short amount of time to collect the prize, and they ramp up in difficulty quite quickly, which can become very frustrating but feel really rewarding when you complete them. There are also secret journal pages to collect, which somehow make the game even more adorable than it already is. The game's strength is also its biggest weakness. I love the controls, and guiding Kirby through challenging puzzles and platforms is a blast. But the fact that you are playing such a beautiful game in front of a TV without looking at it just feels odd. I stared at my gamepad most of the time, but would occasionally look up at the TV screen and was sad to see that there was no way I could look at a beautifully lit HD screen perfectly suited for the game's graphics and still play with the precision and accuracy that the gamepad provides. Instead, I would be staring at a duller, less satisfying touchscreen. I also had some occurring problems with the touchscreen. I am right-handed, so occasionally when drawing on the left side of the screen, my right pinky finger would tap the screen. Doing so caused the paint lines to be drawn all over the place and causing a mess of things, using up all my ink, and causing me to go into a direction I didn't intend to. Another problem I had with the touchscreen was trying to draw lines next to Kirby. A number of times, I tried drawing lines that were too close to Kirby, accidentally causing me to tap and hold him, using his special power and wasting my stars. Even though there were a number of annoyances with the gamepad controls, I really enjoyed my time with this game. As another one of Nintendo's experimental budget titles, this game feels like it has the appropriate amount of content for the price. I loved the ever-changing levels that weren't afraid to introduce new gameplay elements with each new stage, and the game's ramp up in difficulty and challenge was a great change-up for the series. If you are a Wii U owner who is looking for a fun, creative, and challenging platformer, then Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is for you.